It's a Super Tuesday, Super Finance Bill Tuesday. And from last month, we decided we are dedicating every Tuesday in the Situation Room to have a finance bill conversation. And this is as all these things are happening, as they are discussing the finance bill, as it's being discussed, debated in Parliament, creating awareness around it and having public participation around it. And now today, the National Assembly will be going into the third reading. This bill will be going to the third reading in the National Assembly, And we are also expecting that many Kenyans who have said, no, we do not want any conversation around this finance bill. What we want is a total rejection of the finance bill. The measures that are contained therein, you give with one and you slap you with another and then you kick with another. Hey, no. So there's a conversation that's happening around the country. And we are now joined by a Member of Parliament who is expected to be in the National Assembly later today, as the bill is then taken through the third reading, and this is where they go through it clause by clause. This particular clause, any amendment is introduced, it's discussed, it's debated, people vote. Those who agree, those who disagree, the ayes have it. Next clause, all the way until they finish the bill. The man who is in front of us has a lot of experience on such matters. He has been a Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. FARAH MAALIM, he's now the Member of Parliament for Dadaab constituency. Good morning.
Morning to you.
Good to see you again here.
Good to see you too.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You've been keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, it's a full tray. You can imagine that.
It's a lot to discuss. It's good to have you here, and we're looking forward to having an engaging conversation on these matters of the finance bill. And what we want to ask today is whether there is any political goodwill from the political class to the citizens in terms of you being the representatives of the people, whether you're listening to the people, and whether you are making decisions that are in the best interest of the people that you represent. Siti will welcome you with the day's proverb. Siti, the proverbs this week are from?
The Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
All right.
Okay. He who begins a conversation does not always see the end.
He who begins a conversation does not always see the end.
No. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Yes.
What's your interpretation of this one, Farah?
You see, once you start a conversation, it's owned by everybody. And in this day and age, the matter progresses on and all big ideas come into it.
Yes.
And you know, all the thinkers in the world, historical thinkers in the world, we're still debating and sometimes critiquing some of those positions that are taken as perfect. So learning as well as doing, as well as governance, all these things is a journey. It never ends. You end yourself. You know what I mean? If I have to look right now at what Thomas Jefferson did during those times, I find a lot of faults and say, look, maybe he was, at the time, he had a good idea. But that same conversation and debate which he had those days, today would be seen differently. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So then nobody has a monopoly of ideas, and everybody has a responsibility to feed into it at some stage, and life goes on. You
Start
go.
it and let it
Start
move.
it and let it go.
Today, first of all,
it's like they pray for more people to get
week,
sick so they can make the money. Yeah,
last week, during the second reading of the finance bill,
Yes.
how did you vote?
I voted for the finance bill.
Why?
I voted for the finance bill for two principal reasons. One, as a doctrine, the function in a democracy, we're not living in anarchy. In a democracy, the function of creating the finance bill, levying taxes wherever, pulling the resources together, and then allocating the resources for development and recurrent expenditure and all that, is a function of the government of the day. It is not done in the streets. You get my point? It is not done in opposition circles. You see what I mean? It's not done in any of those ones. I was in Parliament myself. By the way, the mother of all parliaments in the world is the House of Commons. Do you know why it's called the House of Commons? I'll tell you why it's called the House of Commons. But the idea was that the role of Parliament is to pass finance bills. That's the principal role of Parliament.
To pass or to debate?
Basically, to debate and pass.
Okay.
Yeah, allocate money, because if you don't allocate money, in other countries like the US, if the opposition decides not to pass a finance bill, because there are two levels. Congress, sometimes the opposition has numbers in Congress that the government does not have. The White House is occupied by somebody from a different party and the numbers are there. But if you say no to his budget, he will tell you, okay, fine. There's a shutdown. When a shutdown happens, the employees don't get their salaries. The public functions do not perform. Mm-hmm. And he says, they are the ones who did it. You get my point?
Yeah.
And now it turns around that the people will begin finding faults with the opposition. That's why the party in the opposition always will want to do a bit of horse trading and say, okay, give and take this line item. But they come to an understanding, regardless of what the numbers are.
Mm.
So
there were two principles that you said.
Yes.
Principle number one is because there's a finance bill that needs to be discussed.
That needs to be done. When I first came into Parliament in 1992 myself, and late 1992, the only role you had as Parliament in terms of the finance bill itself,
of the budget
itself, was as a measure of a demonstration of your disgust with something, to remove a pound from that line item. Parliament did not have the power, and the Parliament does not have the power right now in the UK, which is the mother of all parliaments, to reject the finance bill.
Does Parliament in Kenya have the power?
Now, yes, since the 2010, what they call the constitution, that has changed.
Okay.
The
reason
point,
number two, why you voted for
reason number two, there were issues that were raised. Parliament is a house of debate, is a house of people talking and convincing one another. There are many very punitive, what we felt, and clearly not good clauses that were there. We went back to the Finance Committee. They were all removed. 17, 18 of them, those clauses were removed. And you will see today we're going to remove them in the line items. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the understanding. The new report that the Finance Committee has come up with basically removes, it says this is all to be removed. That's the
so what I hear you saying, Mheshimiwa, is number one, you looked at what the committee proposed.
Yes.
And you agreed 100% with the proposals.
No. We took issues with the areas where we felt that this is not right for the common man.
Okay.
And an understanding came about that let's remove these ones. So the government side accepted that this should be removed. So basically, that's the understanding.
So what you were voting for last week was
no. You see, the finance bill itself, the finance bill, those things are removed at the committee stage.
Yes.
But now that we have,
you agreed with the report presented to you by the Committee of Planning, Finance and Planning.
No, it's a finance committee.
Yes. Committee of Finance and Planning.
Yes.
You agreed with that.
The report by the Committee of Finance and Planning, there are two reports here. There's the original report, basically, and then we removed that report. We removed certain items of that. Now, this can only be removed at the committee stage. Today. Yes. Today. And you will see, I mean, nobody will even try. And all those, what do you call, for lack of a better word, not so good, what do you call, clauses will be removed. So now that we got what we wanted, why should we just say, let's mess this country as an opportunity now for the government for us to say no to it. No, you can't. And all those people you see that were rejecting on the floor of the house were basically playing to the gallery outside. I sat with many of them. I said, the ground is bad. I'm responding to the ground. I know what you're talking about. I mean, you are a leader. A leader does not walk and then come back to the crowd and tell them, where do we go?
Okay. So far as you say that, I just then must ask, because when we that example that you've given now of those who rejected the bill playing to the gallery, there's also the other side which says that those who assented to it are playing to a different gallery, and that there is an element of capture by the executive when it comes to the House of Parliament. Is that the case? For those who
listen to me carefully. I have been in this Parliament myself, in and out, for the last 32 years. I'm the oldest, the longest, the ranking member of this House today. That crap and nonsense of saying all sorts of things about people. So-and-so has been paid, so-and-so has been these things. Those are
They may be unpalatable, but are they true?
No. I have never seen it myself.
So because you've not seen it,
I've never been approached myself.
So because you've not seen it, does it mean it is not true?
Look, if you think it's true, show me one case.
So I'm asking you. You're in the House of Parliament.
Yes.
Because if you've heard on this side that folks
let me tell you one thing.
Sorry, Maalim, you have to hold here.
Yes.
If you say that those who rejected the bill are only playing to a gallery, it is the same principle that others would say that those who said yes are also playing to the hands of one who's asked them to do so. It's the same principle here. So if you say, show me somebody who has been paid, somebody on the other side will also say, well, FARAH, show me who's had a conversation, right? Whereby they say, we're going to say no just because I'm playing into the hands of a gallery.
I've been told by many friends myself, as I'm talking to you right now, I told them, look, what are you doing? We've already changed this thing, and all this so-called, outrageous clauses have been removed. They said, no, you see, the ground is bad. If I do otherwise, the ground is not going to be happy. I've been told by many friends.
We've also been told by several sitting members of Parliament here that they have been approached.
What I do myself, by the way, let me tell you one thing. You know it, he knows it. I don't know whether Odu knows it. I've always been in the position myself throughout my life.
Yes.
You get my point? The few times I did not come into Parliament, I was rigged out, and everybody knows, Kenyans know that. At this age myself, what I was not able to do at the age of 30-something, I do it at the age of close to 70. What do I have to worry about myself? You know what I mean? I am on my way out. It's my legacy and my history and basically these are the kind of things. But when you tell me that I have been, somebody has been paid, you're probably talking about somebody else.
It is not you we are talking about, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
We're talking about parliamentarians.
I don't know, frankly.
And there are many of you, and the discussion here is about the finance bill and the voting.
Yes.
We cannot claim to know how and why people voted. Yes. And that's why you're here, because we'd like to understand. You see, whenever these discussions take place, there are things that we can say are in the public domain.
Yeah.
Or there are many things which are not in the public domain, and we have no clue and no understanding.
Yeah.
And that's why we ask people like you, who are actually in Parliament, to come and explain to us and tell us,
that's what I'm trying
this
to
is what we're trying to see.
I just want you to listen.
Yes.
You have your questions as we talk. I personally gave the highest percentage in the country of votes to the opposition in the last election. The Azimio candidate got 23,000 votes in my constituency. William Ruto got 580. All of them government workers from somewhere else, not the indigenous people of my constituency. Raila was there on a fleeting basis only once. I didn't collect one coin from Raila for the campaigns. To fight for the presidency for Raila, I spent more than 15 million shillings of my own money and put up agents there. He did not have agents. You understand my point? So when I tell you something, I am doing it because of that ability for me to see wrong from right and tell you, look.
To perceive.
Yes. Mine is pure
experience. So take us through this.
Pure principle, pure ideological persuasion, pure everything. It's nothing else to do with that. You know what I mean?
We want to understand the ideology.
The ideology is one.
Yeah.
You don't expect to go. Listen, I've said this many times. You lose an election, somebody else comes to power, and you think you can run the government of the day? Why do people go out of their way to do all the things they do to win an election? If you can change everything that government was going to do through the streets?
I don't get it. What are you saying?
What I'm trying to tell you is that there are functions of the government of the day. Those functions are given to them by the operation of law in this country.
Okay.
Allow them to do it. As they keep on doing those things, take down all their ills. Chronicle them. Tell Kenyans, you see, we told you. You see, we told you. You see, we told you. When the right moment comes, the right of recall, after 5 years, there you are.
So we don't need a legislature then?
No, I'm telling you, but the legislature is there. The legislature is on both sides, bipartisan.
If the legislature is sitting and it's not going to oversight the executive, it's allowed the executive because they have the mandate to govern, it means that the legislature then should not even question the executive.
No. When I tell you about that's the role of the legislature and nobody else should have that role, you tell me, the legislature is compromised. So where does that leave you with the idea of a democracy?
I don't know why
That the
you said
state should
that.
come out and take over?
No, the legislature. We're asking
The legislature, when it does its job like it's doing right now, some people come out there and say, they've been bribed.
No, some legislators come and say
They've been bribed.
they've been bribed.
They've been bribed.
Some legislators
Yes.
come and say they've been
It's
bribed.
not-
No, the one who's telling you they've been bribed is telling you the others have been bribed. Not
Yes.
he's been bribed himself.
Yes.
Anyway,
Let's take a break.
I reserve my position on that.
Let's take a break.
I
We'll
reserve
continue.
because when
What we'd like to do, Mheshimiwa, after
if a
the break.
legislator tells you I was offered 2 million shillings, let him tell us who offered him 2 million shillings and where. And where was the phone call? And then go back again to Safaricom and find out about that.
Good point.
Or if they were together, there's a CCTV everywhere in this country. You know what I mean? And our parliament is covered 100% by that. The day somebody from the other side came and sat next to him and whispered to him, I'm going to give you 1 million or 2 million or 3 million or 10 million, I don't care what it is, for you to vote on this side. Let him tell us that.
Let's take a break.
So just because it's sensational, like the media loves something that's sensational, regardless of how factual and substantive it is. When I say media, I'm not just talking about spicy TV. I'm talking about media generally, because that's where your tools of trade is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But don't do that in politics. You know what I mean? Not when you're an honorable member, HON.
32 years on and off in Parliament. You're experienced. When you looked at what the people were saying during the public participation stage of the finance bill, the various sectors came and presented to the finance committee.
Yes.
And they said what they had an issue with.
Yes.
And even what they were proposing would either be added or deleted in the finance bill. And also members of the public were coming out ahead of even the second reading of this finance bill. Some are still continuing, and now there's still public outcry. There will be protests in the streets today. When you listen to the people who are still talking about the finance bill now, what are you hearing them say?
Frankly, you want my very honest opinion on this?
Yes.
Ask them exactly what it is. They'll tell you. Either they just mention the things that I've told you will all be removed this morning. The 16, 17, 18 clauses that are going to be removed. Issues on bread, issues on pads, issues on all those ones. They'll either talk about that, or they just say, we don't want any amendments, just get rid of it. Now, that itself, we're not in a state of anarchy. There's a government in place. We have a system. It doesn't work anywhere else like that. And let me tell you one thing. In the seventh parliament, we had budget used to be read in the House, and the president used to be there.
Yeah.
So opposition sides really used that opportunity, not finding faults with the budget itself, but to say that we are in a dictatorship and these things, and we will not allow this budget to be read. Simple as that. We'll use our presence in the House itself to get so chaotic, and the budget will not be read. And then, of course, there was a bit of a fracas. And I was one of the most vocal, vociferous,
You are extremely vocal.
extremely vocal
Yes.
opposition members of parliament. So then some guys said, let's take, and I wouldn't mention names, but we were with all sorts of good friends all the days. Let's take the mess and throw it out. I told them, my friends, this is what validates us
As a parliament.
as a parliament. That mess is a symbol of a working institution called parliament. You remove that, parliament ceases to have that authority. But Moi still retains his position as the president of the country and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And those days he had the powers to dissolve parliament. He can still rule and put us all in prison and do whatever he wants. Now that we have a window of us changing this country for the better, let us not become children and get chaotic and try and destroy our own dignity. So I remember there was an MP from Mpakasi, a petite guy, I tried to remember the name, who wanted to lift that. I rushed and I told him no. The other person who rushed?
Mwenje.
No, it was not Mwenje. Mwenje was not in that parliament.
Mwenje came later.
Yeah, he was before and then he came later
before and
also.
then later.
Yeah, no, there was another MP. I'm trying to remember his name. He was petite and a bit, probably in his 50s in those days. Kibaki. And the late Dr. Banaya Godana, who was basically in the government side. Kibaki rushed and said, don't touch the mess. He's telling the opposition, don't touch. We can bang the things, the tables those days, make a lot of noise. You know what I mean? We can do what we want. And Mudavadi was the Minister for Finance. He rose up there and he read the nobody was listening to him, but he read all the budget. And they walked away. And Moi was there. Moi was sitting there, pensive, just, looking at us like this. So what I'm basically trying to say is that we're not there now. Gen Z, children who very well, some of them well educated, but young. And by the way, you better have a bad government than have anarchy. Because when you have an anarchy, there's no government.
So what you're hearing is...
And now people are saying, we're having a revolution. This is the kind of stories I hear out there. There's a revolution coming.
let's cast our eyes back.
Yes.
If what we're seeing now was taking place when you're a young MP, where would you have stood?
I would have, to be honest to you,
yes.
I was a very young MP.
At that point in time.
And I really had, basically, I took time I used to read a lot as an avid reader of how the House of Commons and Parliaments and Constitutions and all this work. I went to, as far back as in the early 90s, went to Temple University and sat down with the best constitutional professor. He's now deceased, you know what I mean? So basically, when you go out of the box and not just get agitated and irritated and try and put a lot of knowledge into your mind, if I was there today, what's happening, I would have still said, no, we're making a mistake. Let's go progressively. Let us work within the rules of democracy itself and the constitution itself and what do you call the laws that we have in place.
What they're doing now is outside of the rules of democracy and the law.
Let me tell you.
What is outside the rules of democracy?
Do you know right now the Prime Minister of the UK is the most unpopular Prime Minister in the modern history of the UK? Rishi Sunak. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard a British saying that we're going to go and occupy number 10 Downing Street?
Not yet.
Have you ever heard them saying that we are going to go and occupy the House of Commons or the House of Lords? No, you don't do that. You don't do that. But you see, the West doesn't mind that happening. You get my point? When you have a semblance of system, let that system leave the scene through a process that's accepted.
Even if it may be seen as though what is happening may be oppressive in nature when it comes to the livelihood of Kenyans?
Odu?
No, I'm asking a question.
I'm going to answer you.
Okay, let me ask it this way so that I would like to get an answer from you. You're saying stick within the processes of what would be democracy. So you're talking about the legislature here when we talk about representation.
Absolutely.
You have a people over which this representation happens. You have a people for which this legislation happens. And here there is a people who is saying that we are not satisfied with what is happening. But what I hear you saying is that whether you're not satisfied or whether you're not happy, just allow the process to continue, and then when they're done, after 5 years, then you can bring on an issue. So what exactly are you saying?
Listen.
I would like to know.
That's what I'm going to tell you. That's what I'm going to tell you. What's the other option? A revolution.
But what we have now is not a revolution.
No.
They're not calling for revolution.
Can I just say? Take it from me, the day. Do you know Donald Trump might not be allowed to run for the elections right now? For one primary reason. For telling his supporters to go and occupy the Congress. And do you know that the bulk of those people who occupied the Congress are in prison today? You don't touch the institutions and the system that gives you the opportunity to show outrage, to choose leaders. You have all those powers. The sovereignty of this country is domiciled in the people of Kenya, but operationalized through the elected representatives. Kenyans have one opportunity every 5 years to exercise that sovereignty and decide who is going to rule them. In the absence of that, you see, when I choose him as our next president, and he comes up with very lousy, very bad policies, we can demonstrate in the streets. There's no question about that. I have no problem with that. You see, there's 1 million man march right now in all the major American cities against Gaza. You think that million would not have walked into White House or walked into the Congress itself? They can't.
So is that what you're hearing, Farah?
That's what I'm hearing.
When you hear people saying that when they hear all this agitation,
yes,
what you're hearing is that people want to go and occupy Parliament.
Exactly. That's what it says.
That's all you're hearing.
They're there. They're
but what are the reasons
occupy
for
Parliament.
What
is
are
that
the
all
reasons
you're
that have
hearing?
led to that?
Just a moment.
Is that all you're hearing?
That's all I'm hearing.
Really?
Actually, substantively, when you look at it right now, they say it's a bad bill.
Okay.
It's a bad bill. You know, it's a bad bill. It's a good bill. Whatever it is a statement. You're not saying we have this problem. We have this problem.
They're not saying it's a bad bill. They're not ending there. They're saying reject.
That's the point. That's the point. Who has the powers to reject?
Parliament.
Not you from what do you call the Spice FM?
Parliament.
Or from the streets.
Has the power.
Allow Parliament to function independently.
Who represents the people?
Yes.
Parliament represents these same people who are saying that there's dissatisfaction that they have found in this thing.
Absolutely.
So the question is,
the majority.
No, please, Farah.
Yes.
The question is Parliament hearing what the people are saying that they're unsatisfied with when it comes to their representation? Is that being heard? You seem to not hear it.
Can I tell you something, Odu? Parliament is hearing that. And you know what they're saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying we don't care.
No. Everything is under control. It's our business to run this thing. And you are telling them, a 25-year-old kid is saying, no, my MP is lousy, is bad, is this kind of things. You think 204 people, all of them elected, by the same people who are running around right now.
345.
Listen,
204 who voted yes.
204 who voted are all fools.
No, that is not what
why do you assume that there's a moral high ground in the eyes of those who have been, and other people will tell you all these boys who are running around have been sent and been paid, and I don't want to say that myself, but let's assume for argument's sake, and you think that they have a better moral high ground than 204 guys who are out there.
Do you think the 1,000 who are saying listen to us?
Why did you elect them in the first place? I didn't elect them. Ruto did not elect them. What do you call Minister, the chairman of the Committee of Finance did not elect them.
And that's the question. And that's the question they're asking. Why did we elect them?
Wait for your moment to get rid of them. You try to do it right now. How do you do it? Through a revolution?
So you ask them to keep quiet?
But
they should not speak out?
No.
Farah, this is not a revolution.
Demonstrate within the law.
Farah,
if you don't want to use the law, you don't have the instruments of power.
They are allowed to demonstrate as far as the law. They are.
I have no problem.
The people
I have
who
no
are
problem with them demonstrating all over the town.
Last week on Tuesday, there were people in Mombasa.
Yes.
There were people in Garissa.
Yes.
In Nyeri, in Nakuru, in Kisumu, in Eldoret, in Kakamega, in Nairobi. Not near Parliament. Other parts of Nairobi.
Yes.
Those ones who are doing it lawfully, were they not?
Nobody touched them. Have they been in prison?
Oh yes, some were touched.
A few of them are in prison.
One was
the rest
killed.
of them ran out. One
was killed. Okay. Another one died later from injuries inflicted by a police officer.
Okay.
All right, there were injuries and maims. This happened.
It happens, yes.
You're a lawyer. Let's go into Parliament, okay?
Yes.
The people who have sent representatives to Parliament are speaking to their representatives, and they're saying, we want you to listen to us. We do not like what's contained in these taxation proposals. We'd like you to have a critical look at it and if possible reject it. Is that legitimate? Is it not? Just yes or no?
It's good. That's acceptable.
Let me continue.
Yes. And then leave it to that person who you have come and approached.
Yes.
And told him go ahead and we have these issues. Yeah? And then that person does his own calculations. He sees what is there.
And makes
the areas that hang on a minute. You see, you do not run a system through browbeating and shouting down people. You don't. You run a system by reasoning with people. I have told you the 17, 18 clauses that were not good.
Yeah.
Are going to be removed today. Now, what else do you want?
The people are not happy with the 17, 18. They want more.
Why?
Engage with them.
More?
So I wanted to ask a question.
No. Tell me what's more. What more do you want?
Remove the entire bill.
Remove the entire bill.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have no taxation, we have no bill. We have no finance bill.
That's the question I want to ask you. As a lawyer, Mheshimiwa, as somebody who has been a deputy speaker of Parliament, what would happen had a majority of members of Parliament voted no last week? Just take us through that scenario. Just create a scenario for us.
Yes.
What if last week on Tuesday, inverted those numbers,
Yes.
and a majority
Yes.
had voted no, what would it have meant?
If majority had voted no, then the bill will die.
And what does that mean?
Well, what that means is that the government goes back to the books where the people sit down together, people
Right.
do horse trading, people
Right.
talk.
Right?
Yes. The majority decided if these ones are removed, the
So-
bill, we are going to pass the bill. Hang on a minute.
So
hang on a minute.
you were asking, if the people want us to vote no,
Yes.
what would that mean? You've just answered the question.
Yes.
That is what the people have been saying, Washimiwa. Those
The
who are saying
people- the
reject
people
finance
would
bill
take an issue. Let
are
me-
not saying let's revolutionize this
Remind me the name
government.
again. Latif. Eh?
Latif.
Latif, let me tell you.
They are saying reject. So, Washimiwa, you've just confirmed to us that it is possible, it is allowed by even the rules and procedures of Parliament to reject the finance bill.
Why?
For whatever reason.
Look,
It's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because of clause A, clause B, clause 3, clause all of that. All of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mheshimiwa,
okay.
do you know why I asked
remove
you-
this, remove this, remove this.
Mheshimiwa.
They're all removed. Why,
Yes.
why would you still want to reject it?
Mheshimiwa, do you know why I took you back to the time when you were first elected?
Yes.
You were what we call a radical even then.
Yes.
26th October 2023.
Yes.
You wore a Palestinian scarf. to
Absolutely.
Parliament, all right?
Yes.
You're protesting
Yes.
against what was happening in
Palestine.
Gaza.
Yes. Yes.
And you said, look, everybody, including those in Kenya, must support the Palestinian movement and those in Gaza.
Yes.
That's you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, are you telling me that the you that is represented here,
Yes.
you and I, are essentially age mates?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And I've followed your career.
I know. I know.
So you're telling me that right now you do not see what these young people are actually saying?
what the young people are saying.
You're telling me that if you looked into yourself, you do not see that they actually have a valid point and that they're saying this because somewhere along the line, those who represent them have not represented them as they wish. And they are now saying it. Look, you're saying shouting. They're saying, okay, you didn't hear it. So let us make you hear it now loudly. This is what we would like. You are our representatives. We are now communicating to you. You're telling me they're out of order.
You see, when you communicate with somebody, you go through a process. You say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I'm a businessman also. I had a meeting yesterday. And there was a businessman, another businessman whom we were doing business with, and we were talking about that. And he says, look, this was not done right, this was not done right, this was done right. Okay, what do you want us to do on this? Okay, do this way, do this way. Okay, fine. We signed the contract. And we're performing on the contract now. It's before the end of the day yesterday, we started performance on the contract.
You talked and agreed, didn't you?
You talked and agreed.
Yeah.
This, you sent in representation, sovereignty by the masses is exercised through elected representatives. The elected representatives went there and told the government, no, of the day, sorry, we will not pass this bill as it is. And they asked us, what are the areas of contention? We said, this is contentious, this is contentious, this is contentious. They went back, they discussed, they came back and said, we're removing them all. What do I tell them? No. You know, we've been told by the people on the ground that send the whole thing back.
Yes.
Why?
Because
Why? No, the question I'm asking you, Latiff.
Because
you have got brains, Latiff.
Because it's
Unless,
the beginning
you know,
of an answer.
What's-
Because,
yes.
Washimira, what they're saying,
Yes.
what those who are speaking are saying,
Yes.
and maybe you could engage them,
Yes.
is they're saying the principle behind the drafting of this entire bill is flawed.
How? What's flawed?
Because the thinking is that we need to raise all this money, and yet, where we have not seen the money being spent, the conversation, by the way, here is not just on the tax measures.
Nope.
The conversation, if you listen, is on public finance management.
Yes.
It's on public finance management.
Come with that.
How
Responsibility.
is the money
Public finance
spent?
management.
And the principle that if you
Latif.
listen carefully, and because we've engaged with them, if you listen, what they're saying is the principle of drafting this bill was flawed. The thinking is flawed. Go back and start from square one. How much must we spend? How much do we need to raise through taxation? What is the best way that we can approach this that does not hurt this, does not hurt the other? There are many who are still unhappy with some clauses that are still contained in the finance bill as it is presently. And they're saying, can we have this conversation again from the beginning? That's what they're saying.
Tell me.
They reject finance. And you've told me that it's possible. The power has been given to Parliament to actually reject a bill in the second reading so that you take it back and say, can we start from square one? The National Treasury has written to Parliament after Tuesday and said, now, if we go with the proposals as they are contained now, with the amendments as they are being proposed now, we are likely to have a shortfall of this. And the impact of that would be that we cut down spending on these crucial areas. There's already a conversation. The people are telling you, their representatives, can we start this conversation again? Can you tell the executive to go back to the drawing board and start again? What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what's wrong with that. Where in this world have you seen a democracy in which a budget and a finance bill is done outside by the masses or so-called people demonstrating out there, and the government of the day is told, fashion it in this way. If you don't, the MPs must reject. If they don't reject, we know what to do.
If it hasn't happened, what?
Isn't that the principle of a democracy? Is
No.
Is that not the principle?
No. The principle of democracy is not
Especially
anarchy.
in our constitution,
It's
where
not
there is
anarchy.
public
It's
participation.
not-
What is the principle of public participation? It is
By the way,
come and engage the people.
Can I explain to you
Isn't it?
something?
Yes.
Can I explain to you something? And sometimes it's good to understand some of these things, the way they function.
Yes.
We don't have a law on public participation.
Not yet. We have a
Do you know
principle
what
in the
public
Constitution.
participation is? Do you know who comes to public participation?
Tell us.
I am in JLAC, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament.
Yes.
It's just a few organized sectors of the society.
Yes.
See, a few institutions who are organized. LSK, you know what I mean, eh? Those are the ones who come to you. It's not public in the sense you think it is. But having said that, the public will give you their inputs, but then you collect, and as a government you decide what to leave out and what to take in.
With reason.
That's why in countries elsewhere you have different ideological persuasions and manifestos. There are those who insist on protecting the business, capitalists, like the Tories in the UK. There are those who want to create more employment and are more social democratic and more inclined towards the common man out there how to do it. And each one of them, when they come, they put up their policies the way they want. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So you can give suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's the government of the day that prepares that finance bill as well as the budget at the end of it. If you want to tell me the masses or these boys who are running around and girls and everybody else are going to prepare the budget, hang on. Let me just finish. You're basically saying, and this is exactly what happened. Let me tell you one thing. That's exactly how things like the Arab Spring started last time. You get my point? Arab Spring were young Arabs, Libyans, and Syrians who were living in the West, who were smuggled back into the country to take up arms against the regimes that were there.
Successfully.
Where is Libya today? Where is Syria today? Where are those boys today? Where is the West that sent them there today? The only thing they're doing is that now they have got the Libyan oil almost for free, and they're sucking it out like hell. And Libya is dead.
Libya was an Arab Spring.
Hang on, let me explain to you.
Was NATO.
No, they were all within that same period. Syria. What happened to Syria? Where is Syria now? Are you getting my point? It's finished. The Americans are taking the oil without having to talk to anybody else. And the majority of those young people who were sent in out there are dead today.
Final word, Mheshimiwa.
Can I just explain
Top
to you?
of the hour.
Can I just
Final word.
Including the one who went with a golden, what do you call, gun of Gaddafi and killed that very powerful Pan-Africanist who everybody, he was eventually arrested by the other clan.
NATO.
He was paralyzed
Not
and he
Arab
died.
Spring. NATO.
It's
Final
called
word.
Omran Shaban.
What are you telling the people
It was
who
the
are
so-called free
demonstrating?
world, free society is the one which is right
What
now.
are you telling the people who are demonstrating today?
I'm telling them, you can demonstrate. It's a constitutional right. But for God's sake, never try to use any extra legal measures to try and intimidate members of parliament, and don't try and occupy parliament.
Okay.
You get my point?
So,
allow them
point
to
made.
do that. This business of threatening members of parliament, that we know where you sit, and their children, and the rest of them, and everybody. You get my point?
That's anarchy.
That's anarchy.
Mm.
That's
FARAH
chaos.
MAALIM, Member of Parliament, Ednah constituency, thank you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.